and welcome. This is J Hard Cleaning Session. I am Jacob. We share life experiences, those situations that one would say, I was at my lowest, and I'm really happy that maybe things turned out to be different now. So we share those experiences with an aim of making sure that we learn from those particular issues so that we can also maybe change or turn our lives around. So today I'm joined by my friend, Justin. Welcome.
Thank you so
And
much, sir.
how are you doing?
I am doing very cool right now. Everything is all good. I thank God for this opportunity.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
So you have quite a story. Talking of this Justin,
Yeah.
and maybe if we can just go back, let's say 5 or 6 years back,
Yeah.
who was Justin then?
I mean, Jason was just a street guy, a hopeless person, someone who had no future by then. So I was just shadowed by a lot of challenges.
Okay, if you can break down for me, when you say Justin was a street guy, tell me how did it happen, like step by step?
So, like, basically, from the very first time, it was in 2016 when I decided to go to South Africa. And then, like, my initial purpose, the reason why I went there was to pursue my studies. But unfortunately, things didn't go the way I planned.
Mm.
So the moment I reached South Africa, like, I had contact with my uncle, and then we discussed, and then he said, "Yeah, it is okay. You can come, and then I'll help you process all the papers, and then from there we can see what we can do." But the moment I reached South Africa, things were not like that. My uncle was out of reach, so I decided to visit my friend. So this friend gave me an accommodation. I stayed with him like for a couple of months, just so, and then I started like going to work. I found like a piece job, so going to work, like all the money that I could get from work, I was just spending it on unnecessary things like alcohol,
Okay,
drinks.
why did you indulge yourself in alcohol? Was it something that you were doing already when you were back here in Malawi, or just started when you get there?
Of course, in Malawi, I was just doing it, but like not really like, into it. Like I wasn't that dipsomaniac person. I wasn't an alcoholism like by profession and stuff. I'd call that. But it could be maybe on temporary basis, just because there is an occasion, something like that. But the time I went there, it reached an extent which was extreme. So yeah, I started drinking on daily basis. It became now my life just because of stress and stuff. So
So, what was stressing you in the first place? Because you're saying that you got into drinking because you were stressed. What was stressing you?
so I was stressed just because I went there to do my studies, but things didn't go the way I planned, as I've already told you. So like I was thinking, how can I go back to like a plan B that is at least perfect, that can put me on the line, like on a proper line. So I was always thinking about like where I'm coming from. I wanted to change the status of my family. So thinking that I had no chance of doing that, I was deeply stressed almost every single day. So the only way I could relieve my stress was to drink alcohol, maybe smoke weed, maybe party. That was the kind of life that I used to live back then.
Okay. So, this drinking, this smoking, how were you doing it? Were you doing it like maybe uh, with friends? Were you doing it alone, or you're doing it as a gang, or how was it like?
I mean, definitely I was doing it with friends because I met the people who were also into that already. I mean, like they started maybe misbehaving by the time they were here in Malawi. They went there finding that things were cheap at that side. I mean, that daily life was easier even than that side. So joining them was more like I was into a gang now. So like it was even made easier to see and to do like other things that were even extremely bad. So for me, it was very simple. Like, yeah, as
Okay,
I've already told you.
so taking everything away from your friends, now we are focusing on you, your life. How can you describe your life then? How was it like? Like when you wake up in the morning, up to the time the sun sets?
It was worse, man. It was worse because the only thing I was thinking when a day ends was how can I get a bottle of liquor? Because I would go to work, like I've told you, because I want to work like for maybe 2 or 3 months
And
by then.
what kind of work was that?
I was delivering some food products. I was working for Uber by then. So like it was more like a delivery job. So I only worked like for a few months, and then I had an accident there, and then I lost my job just because of that accident. So things were really tough. Like financially, I wasn't stable. So we started like quarreling with the people that I was staying with, and then for that reason, I decided to move on and then go to Cape Town.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this time you are on your
I
own.
was on my own,
You
and
have no contact in Cape Town. You just
literally no one. I knew no one. I knew no one. So that's when I thought maybe this was just another chapter of life. I was like, I'm old enough. Let me just see what I can do. Mm.
okay. So you are in you've arrived in Cape Town. You have no one there, like no contact. You have
Yeah.
no place to stay. Did you have maybe money that maybe you could have maybe put up at the hotel?
Or even the money that I got from Joburg going to Cape Town, like it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So I even asked other people to subsidize my journey. So they gave me like a big pump up, like they injected something on in my pocket. I moved to Cape Town. I never had like an extra money in my pocket. So I ended up being in the streets. Like I wouldn't lodge anywhere else. So I ended up being in the streets like for almost a week because I was still figuring out like now I'm here. What can I do? How can I get another job? Since I'm all alone, it was more like an island, you know. Yeah, having no support with anyone
And
else
in a new area.
in a new area. So it was a different environment. So like after that, that's when I met some few Malawians. We had a few discussions. We had a proper chat that time, and then I explained everything that I was going through. He was like, "Ah, no worries, bro. Like I can just harbor you for maybe a month until you sort it out yourself." So like I moved to his house. So it was even a bad and worse neighborhood that I went to because in Cape Town there's a certain place it's called Danone. It's a shanting place. I mean, you wouldn't love to be there. I'm telling you. The thugs everywhere. Like the
But you
people.
had no option.
I had no option because it was rainy season by then. So like I would even be soaked up in rain, and by then, of course, I had everything. But then like I had a few clothes and stuff. I had my hustle bag. I had the papers like school papers. So that by then
The
I had
ones that you
hope.
came from, or you came with from
I came with from Malawi. Like that was more special. That was my MSc certificates, my junior certificates, plus my the transcript that I got from Manable. So I was hoping maybe something else would pop up like from that.
Okay, so you mentioned of you staying in the street for a week.
Yeah.
How can you differentiate life in the street and the life that maybe you had previously?
Yo, man, life in the streets is no good at all. Like it is no good at all. Like when you are in your house, like even in your parents' house, because by then I was a small boy, like I was just grown by then. So I would say life when you are at your house is even more cozy. Like it's comfortable, You feel comfortable, you do things in a good way and stand like you feel comfortable in that environment. But in the streets, man, there's no such thing like I wanna have a bed, I wanna have a proper sleep, I'm tired. No, like I wanna have a bath, something like that. I mean, you even make choices that are not supposed to be made by a normal human being just because you want to survive.
Yes.
So like during that week, I just arrived. I never had proper plans because I didn't knew anybody. I didn't know anyone. So I would only maybe ask for food like from some people. Like I remember this at the time I used to even go and visit some bins. Some bins. Yeah, like open up, get something else, like maybe some leftovers. If I find maybe a damaged electric gadget, I would also maybe get and use it maybe to sell it somewhere, and then perhaps at least get something else to fill my tummy.
So, in other words, you were more like living a life of a beggar.
Yes, I was a beggar, bro. I was a beggar. I was a beggar. I was literally a beggar. Living in the shanteen, it was a hell on earth because I could meet people like thugs during the day, and they would threaten me of maybe stabbing me the very same day while asking me if I have anything else to give unto them. So it was really painful. By then, I remember this other time some people also barged in as we were sleeping around 2 a.m. They came with guns and stuff, and then unfortunately the gun was pointed direct at me. It was the first time in life where I could see death pointing at me, because that was death itself. And then they took everything we had. They took everything, like literally. I was only left with what I was putting on by the time I slept. So I knew that my life was at risk. I decided to move back to the streets that was in Cape Town around Woodstock.
Mm.
Yeah, so life became now really tough because I was only left with what I was putting on. So yeah, life was bad. I started now thinking of having like a plan B of life. What can I do now to survive? Until this other day, there was a certain white person was passing
Okay,
by.
before you go there, maybe
Yeah.
if you can slow down a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
I want you to share with us your survival methods or your survival system in the street. What kind of life were you living then?
You need to be an.
Were you indulging yourself in some other maybe malpractices, or you were just in street clean and all that's mad, or what was street life like?
Like the first time I was in the streets, I was a clean person. Like I would do clean things. I would call it myself like this is clean hustle. That was the first week by the time I just came to Cape Town. And then as I went to the shanties and came back to the streets, I realized that there's no such thing as clean hustle. That's when I thought of doing some dirty works now, like perhaps selling weed and stuff. Like even I remember this at the time I went to a club and then some certain guy left his phone on the table on the bartender. Yeah, so what I did was I took the phone, like I tricked him. He didn't know like my plan that night. So what we did was we drank until he was intoxicated, like fully intoxicated. I knew I had a plan. I wanted to steal the phone from him. I got the phone, like it was an iPhone. I sold it. That's when I started, like I was officially now someone
A
who
bad
is
guy.
a bad guy now. So I remember people like asking me like where can we find weed and stuff. So knowing I was in the streets, I had no option. Like I wouldn't tell them go and buy to that person when I know that I can provide for them. So what I told them was just give me a deposit. I'm going to order it for you. I didn't know that was the very starting point of my weed dealing in the streets. So I gave them the weed. They were referring me to other friends that because the person that I saw to was from France. He was just a tourist. So he started referring me to his friends. Hey man, I had a lot of customers in weed. So like most of my friends in the streets were the Nigerian people. So most of them, I would make sure they do something else that could give me something. So I knew that was the only plan I had. So they started like telling me that I should start selling cocaine as well. They offered me a drug deal, of which, with the situation that I was into, I mean, I wouldn't even shlag off that opportunity. So I had to accept it, man. Like I told them, okay, if it's okay for me, just give me a little time. I should prepare, think about it, and I might start maybe in the next coming 3 or 4 weeks.
So when you were in South Africa, what you did to survive was that you had to indulge yourself in illegal businesses.
Yeah, more practices, like all the bad things, that's what I was doing, man. If I wasn't a clean person, I was stealing. That's to be honest, not stealing from the people in the streets, but whenever we are seated, like yeah, I know you have something else, you just leave it somewhere else. I wouldn't leave it. I wouldn't just leave it the way it is, man.
Okay.
I would definitely get it, hide it, even in a way that I should trick you that
And
you
you didn't
should
care
leave it.
what was going on in your mind.
I didn't care. I mean, like my emotions were dead by then, because I was going through some emotional pain, and that's when I realized that a physical prison is nothing comparing to a mental prison, because I was stuck. Like it was more like I created my own prison, and I swallowed the keys. Like I wouldn't even get out of that prison. So mental, I was disturbed.
So did you feel comfortable in that state, or you just wanted to get out?
No, man, like I wasn't comfortable because I knew like I would die maybe in a second. So it was a life whereby you are assured of death. You might die today, you might die in the next coming second. So like I wasn't comfortable, to be honest. I just wanted, like, I remember this other day praying. I was like, God, I know I'm a sinner, I'm a bad person, I do this, but if you just show me a way, at least out of this bad life, I would be a changed person. I'd be a changed person. And then, I mean, God really answers prayers, bro.
Mm.
God really answers prayers. That's when I knew that God answers an honest prayer, because I really wanted to go out of that life.
So by this time, you had no contact even with your uncle. You
I
had
had
no
no contact, bro.
ties.
I'm telling you, I had not even phone, bro. I had no phone. I had no phone. So imagine going to South Africa, like hoping maybe you might get maybe a heyday, like a green pasture. You understand? As we all do, we want to go there, find something else to put on the table, but you realize that it's even worse than the way you're coming from, based on your current situation. So it ended up in a misfortune way, like with me.
Okay, so if you can talk of one situation whereby you were so deep in the dealings, but then you had maybe to make a very tough choice within that period. What was the situation like?
Um, I remember this at the time, a certain white guy, like he followed me to my zone, like where I usually maybe stay with my people, like all the street guys and stuff. So he knew me. He was comfortable to approach me. So he approached me, asked me, bro, like, can you give us maybe some big packages of weed and stuff? Because we call it a blick. It's whenever it's wrapped, yeah, we call it a blick of weed and stuff. So I told him, yeah, no problem, I might bring it. So he said, okay, so I don't want to get it like myself in hand because I'm scared maybe the police, the cameras, because in Cape Town the cameras everywhere. So he told me that just come to my place where I'm staying. He gave me the number of his residential place. So I said I took that bait. I was like, yo, I'm gonna come there because I need money. He promised me like a good sum of money. So I got the things and then I followed them. So I remember I had this other jacket. It had a space inside. I had a space inside. So what I did was I had to tear it off somewhere else. Yeah, I could
And you
pack.
slid it in there.
Yeah, I could pack all my weed inside. So there was a time. There was a time. This time around, by the time I was on the voyage, just to give him the weed, I didn't know police were following me. So they stopped me. I don't know. Maybe somebody tipped them off or whatsoever. They had to search me all over, search me, and then fortunately enough, I would call it maybe it was just a luck that they didn't find anything. But I knew where I kept the weed. So they left me. They said, we got our eyes on you. So and then they diverted, they went to their own path. And then by that time, I wouldn't even like return back where I was going. I still went
You,
forth.
you just had to go and deliver.
I just had to deliver it because I needed money. It was a life whereby I don't know, man. I sacrificed myself. I was like, whether I'm going to die, whether I'm going to sell, I'll just have to take the bait. I don't have a choice. Because what I wanted was when I'm coming back to Malawi, at least I should come with something else. If I want to go back to Malawi, then I think it's just the end of the story. So I had to go there and deliver the thing, and they gave me the money, and that was the point where I could have been arrested.
So were you just dealing, or you were also using the stuff? You were smoking weed,
I
drinking.
was, bro. There's no way. There's this. I could call myself a gangster because I had tattoos. Eh? I had tattoos. Like I remember, I had a teardrop. But even by the time I came to Malawi, I had a teardrop. So I had a teardrop. I had tattoos all over my hand. No, like it was intentionally, like written on my foreskin. Eh? So like I would call myself a gangster. So there's this other code for gangsters. I don't know if you have ever like listen to like hip hop songs, like deep hip hop songs, underground songs. They say if you want to be a gangster, you need to use drugs. You need to smoke like really high. So I was following that code. Like every time I would call myself a gangster, just to kill the stress that I have. I had to smoke a lot. Cigarettes, I was a chain smoker. I would smoke weed. I would use even the drugs as well. Because I was using even D12 and flag. Because that was the drugs that I could afford myself to obtain like from other local dealers and stuff, that side. Yeah, so I was using the drugs just to be in short. I was using the drugs, I was also smoking.
So, how did your life turn around to being the person who used to be the drug dealer? By the way, I'll show you the picture of how this guy used to look like back then and now, so they can see the difference. But how did it happen to come out from this person
Yeah.
in the picture
Yeah.
to this person that we're talking about now?
Oh man, it was a miracle, man. It was a miracle because, as I told you, there was a time whereby I started thinking where I'm coming from, and it was my first time by that time, like shedding tears. I was sobbing that night. I had my weed. I was smoking weed. I had a pack of cigarettes. I was like, I have a long way. I have a long night until tomorrow. So the only way I would make sure that I reach tomorrow with no stress. It's better I have to smoke a lot of weed.
Have to be high.
I have to be high, bro. Like I started smoking that night. Smoking. It was around 11 p.m. 11 p.m. So I was smoking the weed. I saw a certain dog, which jumped on me. So like myself, I love dogs. So by that time, I started like caressing the dog and stuff. So suddenly, I just saw a certain white woman coming. I was like, "Yo, this is my dog. I'm sorry, my dog is so friends and stuff." I was like, "Ah, no, don't worry, cause myself, I love dogs. So you don't have to worry. Your dog is safe with me." I didn't know like what I said convinced her or whatsoever. She decided to sit on the bench that I was sitting because that was the promenade. In Sea Point in Cape Town, there's a pavement whereby there's some wooden chairs. You can sit and then like look at the shore if you want maybe some fresh breeze. Yeah, so that's where I was seated. So she decided to sit. She just came like she was jogging around. So she said, "Okay, I want to sit and have a chat with you." I was like, "Yeah, no worries, man. I'm open minded." So we started chatting that night, and then she started asking me like, are you from here or where are you from? I was like, I'm from Malawi. So when did you come here? I was like, I came in 2016. Yeah. So what was the purpose? I explained everything. I didn't hide anything because I knew if I could hide the true self of me. I might miss something else that I might not find again. So I was just open minded. I told her everything, what I was going through. So she said like, wow, man, I'm amazed by your story. You look like an innocent person, but you don't deserve these things. So I was like, yeah, I believe I don't deserve these things. Yeah. So amazingly, she asked me if I knew Jesus Christ. I was like, yeah, I know Jesus Christ, but maybe you know him differently.
Mm.
So if you know him differently, I would be pleased if you tell me the way you know Jesus. So he started explaining using Bible references, like he started using verses and stuff. Jesus Christ, so loving is the Son of God, and he assures you that if you confess that you're a sinner, he's ready to forgive you your sins and stuff. And then by then, I didn't know anything about how a born again lives life. So she asked me that, are you ready to receive Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior? If you would be a born again. So like I had a second thought. I was like, meaning if I accept Jesus Christ, that
They
means I
have to
have to
stop to dealing
abandon this.
with.
You understand? So by that time, I thought maybe the time she was sitting down, she wouldn't take that longer. So I was hiding the weed. I didn't kill it. You understand?
So it was
So
too
it
smoldering
was
down
still
there.
smothering down there. So I was like, she won't take much time. She'll take a dog, she'll go, and then I'll continue smoking. And then the moment she started mentioning about Jesus, I started killing it down there. But by the time I killed the snap, I was like, today I think I've made a choice. I want to receive Jesus Christ. And this is what I was doing. I'm tired of this thing, and I've been praying about this thing. I just wanted a miracle. So, I mean, seeing you here talking about Jesus to me looks like a miracle. And she was pleased. She was like, I didn't know you're this open. And just the fact that you have received Jesus Christ, we prayed that night. The fact that you have received Jesus Christ, I feel like Jesus Christ wants to give you a new life.
So that was the end of your
That was
dealings.
the end of my dealings. And then, mind you, by that time I was also anticipating to do the deals that I was offered by the Nigerians. I told them maybe wait for at least 3 or 2 weeks. And the time I told the Nigerians to wait, I knew that that was the time I wanted to pray about it. Like,
So this was the time you were to start dealing cocaine.
yes, I was meditating. Like, I knew it had severe consequences. So I had to make a proper and a concrete decision. So I prayed unto God. I said, if you're going to let me do this, I know the end. I know the end. I'm not coming back. But if you still have that love for me, you need to reverse this. I don't want to do it. But otherwise, if you leave me, I don't have an option. I want to survive.
I will take this chance.
I'll take this chance. That's what I prayed. I remember I prayed that prayer. So seeing her come, I knew that God had answered my prayer. I saw God's love that day. I mean, I experienced love. And mind you, in South Africa, it's really hard for a white person to trust a black guy.
Okay.
It's really hard because most of the white people that come, like the tourists, they're always killed. There are a lot of tags that side. They always have a motive behind whenever they're doing something. I might befriend you, but I have a motive behind. Maybe I want to get something from you. Maybe I want to kill you. Maybe you have something else that
So
I
you
know.
behave nice so
You
that I can trust you.
exactly. So like for me, and by then I told you I had a tattoo. She saw a tattoo on my face, but she still showed me love. Understand? So for me, I saw God. I was like, no human being can do this. I mean, it was beyond the perception of normal human beings. So like I received Jesus Christ, and then she was like, I want to book a hotel for you. Like it would be better that from today onwards you should be staying at the hotel. Maybe these guys wants to kill me.
Maybe it's vice
It's
versa.
vice versa. They're just using the name Jesus just to get me like to feel comfortable with them. So yeah, I went with them, but another voice was telling me, bro, if you're going to miss this chance, you're going to rot in the streets. So I had to go for that, bro. Like we went to the hotel. I mean, the hotel they booked for me was not an economic one. It was an executive hotel, bro. Something that I never expected that would happen in my life. And then I even thought God in my heart. I was like, truly, Lord, you are a living God, and you are there. You exist. This is just more than a proof to me. I mean, I don't have no reasons to doubt you anymore.
It was simply the other side of your life.
It was just simply the other side of life. I'm telling you, just within a blink of an eye, my life changed. My life was amazing. My life was just extremely, I mean, undescribable. I'll tell you, bro. Like, even people today, whenever they see me, the people I left in Cape Town, whenever they see me, they even talk about it. Every time they send messages, say, "What happened to you?" It's really a true definition of a miracle. Cause, like, I remember by the time I went to Cape Town, there were people who stayed there almost 15 years. They never had such an experience, even see this experience to anyone else. So I went to the hotel. I mean, like the room was, I mean, it was fully packed with everything. The fridge was there. I had a TV in the room, the bathroom, everything, toilet. It was self-contained. And the fridges were all fully filled with beverages, the food as well. And then I'm telling you, I never deserved anything like that. And then after a few months, that's when I received the call from the very same woman who took me from the streets. She was like, I want to introduce you to my church. That was Hillsong Church. So I started worshiping with the Hillsong Church. I started serving at the Hillsong. But mind you, I was still struggling with addiction. I was still struggling with addiction. So like I would pray, Lord, I want to change completely. Since now you have given me a new life. So I want you, Lord, to completely deal with this addiction. But it couldn't even go away, to be honest. It wouldn't be go. So sometimes I'd sneak out, have maybe a bit of like smoke, and then I blush, my teeth and stuff, just to make sure everything was back to normal. I had a normal breath. Yeah, so like from there, like I would push myself. I would say this is a struggle. Like for me, I wouldn't change and then go back to my old life. It's a struggle, but I'll fight it. So I tried to fight it. I tried to fight it until those guys. I mean, I stayed with them like for almost 5 months, if not six. It was 5 months. That's when they asked me like, would you want to go back home or would you want us to make sure that you find something to do here, whether school or job? I said I wanted school. They tried their best. Like they went to UNISA to find like an enrollment for me, but unfortunately, I told you that my papers were not processed, so my passport had expired by then. So they told me, okay, if you would go back to your country, Malawi, and do at least an international course, once you are done, and then you just give us maybe a feedback. From there, maybe we might like try to quest a job for you. I was like, yeah, I think sounds like a good idea. So that was the time when I decided to come back to Malawi. But I'm telling you, they bought everything for me, like clothes and stuff. I became a normal human being
So
as
your
I was.
life changed from being a street kid. Now you are kind of a person that has somewhere to put up people who cares about
Yes,
him. And you came back to Malawi, and fast forward, of course, there are other people who are struggling with issues of addiction.
yes.
How can one um, fight addiction?
Uh, like to be honest, you can't fight addiction on your own. I feel like the best way to do is just to make sure that you surrender yourself to the power that is above you, which is, I mean, the power of God, which is the power of Jesus Christ. Like for me, I wouldn't talk about something that I didn't do. I would talk about my experience only. Because myself, I experienced the power of Jesus Christ. Because it was by the time I came here in Malawi, I had to make sure I had to find a living church. So fortunately enough, I was privileged to visit Good News Ministry. That's when Prophet Gondwe prayed for me, and then I got delivered, and instantly my addiction went away. So I wouldn't say you shouldn't go to therapist or whatsoever. They might help you, but one day it'll still come back to you because those are spirits. To my point of understanding as a Christian right now, I understand that those are just spirits. They're just spirits to torment you, to make sure that you are separated from God. So I would say it's good that you give your life to Jesus Christ. That's the only solution. That's the only proper solution you will ever get. And it's even a best advice one would give you to do in life. So as of now, I'm just a normal human being. What I only drink is Fanta,
Okay, soft drinks.
soft drinks. That's what I do. If I smoke, that means I only smoke air,
And
like
and
the
and
way I
and,
am
and
now.
now you have proper housing. You having a job, or what's your life like now?
I was privileged again after I finished school. So like the COVID stood as a barricade for me to go and pursue my professional like career in South Africa. So what I did was I had to start looking for jobs here in Malawi. So I was fortunate enough that I got a job. I'm working with a certain organization, and my life completely changed, man. Uh, I've been privileged with a lot of things, man. So I see God in everything. I think that's what I can say right now.
But is it possible for someone who is struggling with addiction that um, he can change?
It is possible, 100% possible. It doesn't matter how long you have been into that, because I've been doing that myself for years and years. So it doesn't matter how long you have been doing it. Addiction can be defeated, long as you just follow a proper way, a proper procedure, because everything has a procedure. Man. So addiction is defeatable.
All right, Justin, thank you very much for
Yeah,
sharing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
hope your story is going to inspire someone, and it is possible for one to get done or to get over with addiction, because it's not only by you, but I think if you can only have that willing heart that you want to change, then definitely the change is coming away. So that's the story that Justin had for us, and he has shared. And I hope that you also are going to make sure that you at least maybe try if you are struggling with this issue of addiction. We had our session here at Zaluso Arts, and we had technical support from Great Moments Pictures. And till next time, you deserve that. That's really big. You get it then?